Will Hernandez is back. And what does that mean for the Cardinals offensive line? But also, could Trae Young actually be a part of the Phoenix Suns, even if the Suns had the assets to make it happen? Should they? Let's talk about it all next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. There's a lot of things to get into in this edition, a Friday edition of the Ben Garcia Show. You know, it'd be kind of fun over the next couple of weeks to have like a tradition. We just talk about something insane on Friday. Call it, you know, I actually think Freaky Friday, the second one, is out today, potentially. So maybe we call it that. Maybe something wild. I've seen other people call it different things, but that's what I feel like our first topic is. But before we get there, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That is this channel, no other channel. Well, I don't know. Maybe if you feel the urge to go somewhere else, you could also subscribe to them as well. But with that being said, we got a lot of things to get into. Also, I'm still recruiting people for the subscriber, listener, viewer, fantasy football league that I want to run with my subscribers. I got a few of you guys. I think I have like 6 people now. I need another 6. So if you're interested in joining that fantasy football league, I'm only going to do it if people want to do it. And I'll advertise it for another week. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But shoot me a DM at Ben Garcia Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is, any social media platform, I'm there at Ben Garcia Show. So with that being said, let's start here on this Freaky Friday, I guess is what we're calling it. So there is a report out there from a guy in a couple of different people who have mentioned the situation with Trae Young in Atlanta is becoming a little hostile, meaning they want him to sign a deal that's not a super max extension, which is what he's eligible for, or a max extension, whatever. And I think we've learned that there are only some players that you can give a super max extension to, or a max extension to. And Devin Booker falls in that category because he's taken your team to a finals. He's been to multiple All-Star games. He's won multiple playoff series. He's a bigger player. I think he's a better scorer. Statistically, he's the best ISO scorer in the NBA. And so when I see that Trae Young, the Hawks aren't really interested in playing ball, I kind of get it. He's a smaller player. But not only is Trae Young a smaller player, I don't think what he does is winning basketball. And so you look at Trae Young's statistics. He is exactly 6'1". He's 164 pounds. He can get pushed around. He's a god-awful defender. However, in some places, I do believe Trae Young can work. He's been, some sorts of a Iron Man. He plays a lot of his games. He's played 81, 60, 63, 76, 73, 54 is a little low, but then 76 again. So he plays most of his games. He's not super injury prone or anything. But the thing with Trae Young is he doesn't shoot the ball as efficiently as you think he might. He is, at times, a little bit of a shot chucker. And his splits, 41, 34, 87. 34% isn't awful, but he shoots almost 8.5 threes a game. And then from the field goal percentage-wise, he makes about 7.5 shots a game on 18 attempts. That's not great. He's a good facilitator, a good playmaker. He's got 11 assists a game. And I do think there's a world where Trae Young does work. In Phoenix, I don't feel like that's the case. We have to learn our lesson from what the Suns have already done, putting players around Devin Booker. If we're just being honest with ourselves, the Bradley Beal, Devin Booker pairing did not work for a multitude of reasons. It's not because I don't think Bradley Beal is a bad player. I actually think Bradley Beal can still be a fairly serviceable player. And years ago, when he first came to Phoenix, could be like an all-star caliber player offensively. Defensively, I think when Beal is engaged and around other fairly good defensive players, he can actually be a positive. But on his own, he's more or less a negative. I even think at times he's a better defender than Devin Booker. However, when you're talking about the pairing between those two guys, two scoring guards that need the ball in their hands for things to come together like you would want them to. And so you look at the Suns team, and the reason why Trae Young would be an absolute disaster alongside Devin Booker is because he does too many of the same things Devin Booker already does. And he does them in a worse way. They're both offensive guys. Trae Young, although likes to shoot the three ball, he's actually not very good at it. And Devin Booker, who doesn't shoot the three ball as much as Trae Young does, is a better three-point shooter than Trae Young. But in order to get other guys involved, Trae Young's going to need the ball in his hands to be able to facilitate and get other people reps from beyond the arc or just down low. So for all those reasons, I think Trae Young is a fine player. But the next star that you pair with Devin Booker cannot be so redundant to Devin Booker. And with Young and Booker, they're both, Trae Young worse than Devin Booker, but they're both bad defenders. Both guys are more offensive-centric players. I think Devin Booker's a more willing defender than Trae Young, and he's also 5 inches taller and stronger than Trae Young. But when it comes to Young, he is like the epitome of a god-awful defender. You could play him off the court. You run a mismatch on him, you could back him down, it ain't great. The next player you pair with Devin Booker has to be strategically someone who covers up some of the misgivings of Devin Booker. Someone who's a better defender. Someone who can shoot the three ball better than Booker can. Someone that can cover up the things that Booker doesn't do well. And ultimately, I think Kevin Durant was like the perfect pairing for Devin Booker. The issue with it was Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and a bunch of lawn deck chairs playing basketball with them. So that, in that respect, that was a really good pairing. However, it wasn't the right time for that pairing, and you gave up too much to get KD. Let's say there's a world where the Suns could get Trae Young. Let's say they had the assets, he demanded a trade to Phoenix, and they figured it out. It would be an abject disaster. An abject disaster. I have a guy in the chat. I'm sorry, I have to go with this, but he said, this isn't live. This is last night's show. Well, this will show you that it is indeed 7:16 a.m. in Arizona. This is live. But continuing on with it, Trae Young is way too redundant to Devin Booker. He's, again, like I mentioned before, bad defender, doesn't shoot the three ball well. I guess he's a good facilitator. But what I don't want to do is put two guys in the backcourt who desperately need the ball in their hands to succeed. The next great player that you pair with Devin Booker has to be of the sense of a Jaylen Brown type player, a Jason Tatum-esque player, a guy who's in the front. Like, I really like Lauri Markkanen with Devin Booker. I think that's a really good pairing. A dude that shoots the three ball well, big player, can rebound effectively. Those are the type of guys I'm looking at the next great player to pair with Booker. Chris Paul was interesting because, of course, pass first guy, mid-range guy, did some of the things that Devin Booker did well too, got injured fairly often. But even then, that wasn't enough to win a championship. So if you're talking about winning a championship, Trae Young cannot be the guy that you pair with Devin Booker. He is too redundant in the same things Booker does. Bad defender, doesn't shoot the three ball particularly well. The next great player you pair with Devin Booker has got to be a 6'8" or taller player who can defend really well and hit a three-point jumper. Pascal Siakam would be super interesting with Devin Booker. Lauri Markkanen would be super interesting with Devin Booker. Evan Mobley. Those types of guys. I'm looking for bigger players that can help bridge the gap and cover up the misgivings of Devin Booker. And same with Booker. It's almost like a marriage, right? Two people, I think, oftentimes who are opposite, that can help cover up the deficiencies of the other person. That way it's a 50-50 partnership that you're both getting something out of. Now, at times, just like in a marriage, someone might be doing more than the other person, but you're not worrying about getting the same thing from that other person night in and night out, to where you're worrying about, okay, well then who's going to be the classic 3-and-D guy? It's why Mikal Bridges worked. It's why Cam Johnson worked. It's why, to an extent, DeAndre Ayton worked. Although he didn't hit the three ball, he was a bigger player, could catch lobs, and in 2021 was a pretty stellar defender when he was around other good defenders. So the next time the Suns have assets, I'm not against going all in again. Put the cards down on the table. Let's play some 21. Let's go for it. I'm not one to, roll the dice and move on from that. Roll them and keep rolling them. Aggressive wins in sports. But as much as Trae Young would be fun, and I probably would be over the moon about it because it'd be a fun backcourt pairing, and they'd score a lot of points, they would also, in the inverse, give up 200 points a night and shoot incredibly inefficient from the three-point shot, which is the opposite of where the NBA is going. The NBA is going towards have more guys that shoot the three-point ball, not less. Have guys that take care of the basketball, that can defend, not the other way around. And I also don't want to go all in on a 6'1" guard. Guys, Atlanta hasn't been to the conference championship pre-Trae Young till that. When was the last time Atlanta was in? I thought about it, and I was like, oh, that 2013 team I think went. I don't even think that Hawks team went to the conference championship. Think about all the things Trae Young has done for the Hawks. He's made them relevant. It's given them a star player. It's put them in the conference championship or in the conference finals. And they still said, we're good. That should be a major red flag to all Suns fans. It is a bad place to be. It's an inefficient place to be. So, good player, fun to watch, would work on some other teams, different pairings, but with Booker, it would be an abject disaster. All right. So, Will Hernandez is back in the fold for the Arizona Cardinals. And with that being said, bringing Will Hernandez back to the Cardinals was just such a smart move. It's just a very smart Monty Ossenfort meat and potatoes move. Just ultimately, it is. I also just want to say this. You guys watch this show because I feel like I've been pretty good about seeing around corners. And I've done this on a few separate occasions, especially this offseason. People who have watched this show can attest for this. And GTO Greg, we're going to talk about that in a second. In the chat, is Will projected to start or be a backup? I've noticed a couple other channels are talking about this. I don't oftentimes watch other Cardinal stuff because I want my own takes. I don't want it to be filtered by whatever, AZ Sports Fan is saying, or Mythic is saying, or Cards on SI are saying, or PHNX Cardinals are saying. I want to do my own thing, and then once I notice they talked about it, I'll go watch it and see what they have to say. Every now and then. I'm a very busy guy. I don't watch a lot of that stuff anymore. Sometimes I'll turn it on. However, I noticed other channels are starting to talk about the thing that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks now. The offensive line, I think, is going to be more of a liability than people are giving it credit for, which is what makes The Will Hernandez signing, such a solid Monty Ossenfort, incredibly smart signing. Because this team, I like the 5 guys up front outside of Jonah Williams, who I have serious concerns about, who I can get to again in just a minute, who I pointed out weeks ago. I don't know about that guy. That's going to be an issue. Thank God Kelvin Beachum is there to take his spot if things go awry. But I like the starting 5 unit for the Cardinals offensive line. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like starting pitching in baseball. If we're having multiple injuries on the offensive line, it's just SOL at that point. The pitchers, you lose 5 pitchers in a year, all starting 5-year pitchers, you're probably not making the playoffs. The Cardinals got 3 out of 5 of their offensive line missing extended periods of times. You're in real trouble of missing the playoffs. Just ultimately, right off the cusp, right off the back. However, with that being the case, the Will Hernandez signing is incredibly smart. Because I like the 5 guys up front outside of Jonah Williams. But the backups, if someone goes down, I am highly skeptical about who could fill into their place. To be fair to Drew Petzing and Jonathan Gannon and Justin Fry, but before that Clayton Adams, the Cardinals offensive line coaches, they have done an exceptional job building the trenches. Just an exceptional job bringing the right guys in to fit the mold of this team. With that being said, there comes a time where, the straw breaks the camel's back. Don't love the backups. And so Will Hernandez, which is where I come into Greg's point in the chat, I think is viable and great insurance depth for this team. I don't think he's the starter. I mentioned this on the Cardinals Squad Show, and I got some crap for it from my guys, Jameel Douglas and Alex Clancy over on Locked On Cardinals, where we do that recently Tuesdays and Thursdays, but also after game days. And one of the things that I had mentioned was, if Will Hernandez comes here, is he going to start? Jonathan Gannon talks very highly about Isaiah Adams. He loves Isaiah Adams. And guys, from what I'm seeing in the reporting being done and the clips from camp, Isaiah Adams looks pretty good. I don't think Will Hernandez is going to be the starter. Now, there's a world where if Isaiah Adams looks bad in game shape, yeah, they'll move him out, whatever. But from what I've seen in camp and the reports and what Jonathan Gannon, the horse's mouth, is saying himself, Isaiah Adams looks pretty good. I don't think this is an instance where Will Hernandez is plug and play. This tells me the Cardinals don't love the depth of their offensive line. You know, the thing that we've been talking about on the show for like 2 weeks now? I wonder, with Will Hernandez, if he's going to be a plug-and-play guy for not just Isaiah Adams, but also at the left guard position as well, Evan Brown. And it leads me to believe that for the first time in Jonathan Gannon's tenure, he's worried at least a little bit about that offensive line. Because think about it last year, and maybe the Cardinals just value the offensive line more than the defensive line, although I don't buy that. But think about it last year. I was at training camp almost every day, and the talk on the sidelines, which is like the one thing I really miss about training camp this year, not being able to be on the sidelines because work and, this is not my full-time job. I wish it was, but hit the subscribe button. Maybe someday it will be. One of the things that really worries me is last year, the defensive line was atrocious in camp, just absolutely atrocious. And as Cardinals fans and the Cardinals media members, we could all tell. We were like, this defensive line is awful. And after numerous practices, guys would ask, "Hey, JG, what are you going to do about the defensive line? Are you going to, do something about it?" And JG was very arrogant in his response, which was, "You guys think it's a big deal. We don't." And then it came to find out that the media members were right. The defensive line wasn't very good last year. It was making chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what. And good on Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon for doing so, but they also admitted their mistake and went out and got elite-level players for those positions, or high-level players for those positions. On the offensive line, they go and immediately add depth when they were very arrogant about the defensive line last year. Is there a chance they feel worse about the offensive line than they did about the defensive line last year? And that's what the Will Hernandez signing says? Because, Will Hernandez isn't young anymore. He's 29, and he's got a torn ACL. It's not a great knee injury for a big man. I'm not saying he's going to be bad or great or indifferent or anything of that nature at all. All I'm saying is it concerns me at least a little bit. And to keep your eye on it, because we mentioned a couple weeks ago, Jonah Williams not looking very good. And now other people are like, Jonah Williams not looking very good. There's the concern there. I think Isaiah Adams, it's his job to lose. And the front five guys I like. Behind them gets a little sketchy. And you cannot have Kyler running for his life. I want the pocket to be moved artificially. I want the pocket to be moved naturally, not artificially. Really quickly, I want to talk about this as well before training camp or before the Cardinals play the Chiefs on Saturday. I don't want anyone to get overzealous or I don't want anyone to fall either way when it comes to Cardinals preseason game against the Chiefs. If the Cardinals look awful, 3 and out on offense twice, they pull their starters. It doesn't mean anything. But if the Cardinals go downfield and score a touchdown or kick a field goal and go 75 yards on a very good Chiefs defense that, of course, will be working on things too. You're not going to get the full, slate of the Chiefs defense. But they are going to play their starters, including Patrick Mahomes, which is why I said the other day, you're not good enough to not be playing your starters. If the Chiefs are doing it, you're doing it too. However, it is up to the Cardinals to some extent to install some form or reasoning for confidence in this team. And so with that being said, on the offensive line, I want to see how they hold up against Chris Jones, the kid from Purdue whose name is escaping me, but it's not important. Or George Karlaftis. It's a good defensive line. It's a smart defensive coordinator. Let's see how the Cardinals do coming out of the jump. It doesn't mean anything either way. They score a touchdown if they're 3 and out each time. They could be working on things. However, what's important to me in preseason, no false start penalties. We're getting the plays in on time. Marvin Harrison Jr. is running the right routes. We're getting guys open in space. And flex your muscles once or twice. Show a play or two that's like, hey, here's my Drew Petzing creativity. And let me see two series of this team. Let me see 15 plays of the offense, 15 to 18 plays. After that, then you're just starting to risk injury. And I don't want to do that either. But I think it's important for guys to get their bell rung just a little bit. We're not, we don't want anyone to get hurt, but feel what it feels like to be in a game. It's hard to simulate that in training camp. Getting it in a preseason game, getting your bell rung early, I think is good for this team. Take a shot or two. Not Kyler Murray. I don't want him ever being touched. But get real game action. Be on time, be set, be neat, be organized. Look at the Lions in the Hall of Fame game. I know it's 3rd and 4th stringers, but they look dysfunctional, disorganized, and ready to pull back this year. It's the preseason. It's not everything. I don't want to make it seem like it's everything. But can you get the play in? Can you be set? No false start penalties, no offsides penalties, no holding penalties. And can you get the ball to where it needs to go? Let's see Kyler go through 1 read, 2 reads, and then dump it off to James Conner. I just want to see where the progression of the offense is. Let's see where guys are at. Let's see how they adjust to the pressure. And let's see what it feels like from, the year 2 Petzing offense now to year 3. I'm not asking for anything crazy. I think a fair ask is you get the ball at the 25-yard line or 20-yard line. Let's call it 20-yard line because it's easier math. You go 60 yards, 55 yards, and you kick a field goal. You're like, okay, you saw something from the offense, and then you want to go out there again, and let's say you get another field goal. But I would like to see the Cardinals offense put up at least 3 points with the vanilla offense that they will be running. Look neat, look organized, be on time. I'm not asking for much. And guys, for the 6 people watching this morning, and there will be more later, it's oftentimes where the bigger viewership comes. Don't overreact to preseason. Don't crown them a playoff team. Don't crown them the top pick in the NFL draft. Don't do that. Just watch it for what it is. And let's see this team get organized. I don't want to crown this team, and I don't want to kick down this team unless, of course, it's really freaking bad and they're just disorganized. However, with that being said, guys, I will be back here Monday. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking all things Arizona sports. We're getting into football season. It's about to be pretty much all Cardinals from here on out for a while with some sun sprinkled in. I'm not talking about the Diamondbacks until they make me talk about them, and some ASU football as well. So with that being said, guys, hit the like, hit the follow, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, as well as go to those social media platforms and DM me. If you want to be a part of my fantasy football league with my subscribers, my listeners, my viewers, maybe there's a very small buy-in, no more than $5, $10, probably $5. This is more about camaraderie for me. And let's see if you can outsmart me in fantasy football. You probably can. With that being said, I've got about 4 or 5 guys that have reached out to me. Reach out to me if you're interested. If you're not, you snooze, you lose. With that being said, for my guys Lucky, Steve, Greg in the chat, appreciate you guys being here and have a hell of a Friday, guys. Stay safe, and I will talk to you guys on Monday at 7 a.m.